Today we are going to be talking about obligation and option. So what is so important about this activity that we're going to be working on today? Well, there's 3 reasons why you might want to be watching today's video. You might want to begin taking on a more serious tone, and you want to sound more legally competent. The second reason is, in your everyday life, you might be having trouble reading the fine print. Things like the refund policies, tax documents, or government websites. And you just don't understand it. So this video is going to be very helpful for you. Or the last reason, maybe you are a business owner or you're an entrepreneur and you are writing some rules or regulations about your business. So things like maybe an HR policy for hiring new people, or maybe rules to govern the way you manage your relationship with your customers. And today we are going to be looking at the words in bold, okay? So in this exercise, what we're going to be doing is we are going to be looking at 2 sentences at a time. So after that, you are going to identify whether or not the sentence there is expressed correctly. And how do you know if it's correct? Well, under each sentence, there is an explanation. And that explanation, you can either agree with it or you don't agree with it. Okay? And you're trying to explain the words that are highlighted in bold. We're going to be looking at questions 1 and 2. So sentence 1 says, during the exam, a pencil and eraser are required. And the explanation, the people organizing the exam will provide you with a pencil and an eraser. All right, you're going to see if it's true. And number 2, parents can be made liable for their children's debts. Parents may be legally responsible for the money their children owe. So your job is to figure out which one's true or which one's false. Or maybe they're both true or false. Okay, so now let's look at number 1. When we say something is required, it means you must use them. Okay, you must use them during the exam. In this case, the inference down there says they will provide you, they being the people organizing the exam, and that's not true, okay? They're not required to give you a pencil and eraser. All they said is that you need to use one, okay? And number 2, parents can be made liable for their children's debts. That means they are, yes, they are responsible. The parents may have to pay on behalf of their children. All right, so it's true for number 2. All right, now we're going to look at 3 and 4. 3 says he was obliged to pay back the money that he had won. And the meaning, he had the choice whether or not to pay back the money that he had won. Number 4, students doing holiday jobs are exempt from paying income tax. Does that mean that students doing holiday jobs pay a smaller amount of income tax than other people? All right, in this case, both are actually false. Okay, when you're obliged to do something, you're obligated. Okay, you have to pay back that money. Number 4 says students, doing these jobs are exempt from paying tax. When you are exempt from doing something, it means you do not have to do it. Okay, you're legally not responsible to do it. So in this case, students do not have to pay a smaller amount. In fact, they do not have to pay any of it. All right? Next, we're going to be looking at sentence 5 and 6. Sentence 5 says, the United Nations voted to impose mandatory sanctions on the country. Does that mean that the United Nations imposed legally binding sanctions which had to be obeyed by everyone without exceptions? And number 6, the doctors forced him to stop smoking. Does that mean the doctors asked him to stop smoking? All right, number 5. So mandatory means you must do it. So number 5 is true. Number 6, the doctors forced him to stop smoking. And does that mean that the doctor, he or she, asked him to stop? Well, not really. Forcing someone is different from asking them. When you ask someone something, you're giving them the option to agree or disagree with you, right? So number 6 is false. Right. Now we're going to be looking at sentence 7 and 8. Sentence 7 says, "It was an emergency and she pressed the red button. There was no alternative." Does that mean that there was nothing else she could do and she had to set off the alarm by pressing the red button? Right? And then number 8, classes on Wednesday afternoons are optional. Does that mean it is necessary to attend classes on Wednesday afternoons? All right, so 7 is true. When you have no alternative, that means you don't have any other options, okay? There's nothing else she could have done, okay? And therefore it's true. Number 8, when we say something is optional, do you have a choice? Yes, you do have a choice. When you have a choice, you don't have to go to class, right? So that means this answer is false, okay? Great. It is compulsory to wear a crash helmet on a motorcycle. Does that mean it is your choice whether or not to wear a crash helmet when you ride a motorcycle? And number 10, the museum is asking visitors for a voluntary donation of £2 or $2. You don't need to pay $2 or £2 to visit the museum. All right, I'm going to give you a moment there to think about it. Okay, when we say something is compulsory, like it's compulsory to wear your seatbelt, it means it's mandatory, okay? You must wear it. In this case, you must wear a helmet. So is there a choice really? No, there's not really a choice. In that case, this is false. And number 10, when you go to a museum, sometimes they say you can give them a voluntary donation. When something is voluntary, do you have to do it? No, the answer is no, you don't have to do it, right? So it's true. You don't need to pay £2 or $2 to visit the museum. All right? So I hope this video helped you build your legal vocabulary and that you feel more confident when you look at documents or when you have to write up your own documents. With rules and regulations. All right? If this video was helpful, I hope that you'll give it a thumbs up and that you'll subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time.